Now we stay in US. US President Donald Trump has signaled a major escalation in the fight against drug cartels. Trump has said that land strikes against cartels are coming soon. He said the move would follow recent US maritime attacks in the Eastern Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. Trump did not share operational details or timelines. In an interview, he claimed drug cartels are effectively running Mexico. Trump has said the United States is now prepared to expand its actions beyond the seas and onto the land. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Adrian Calamel. He's a terrorism scholar, joins us live from New York. Thank you very much, Mr. Calamel, for joining us once again. Good to see you. Now looking at
Great
this,
to see you, Suma.
thank you.
Sorry.
No, thank you very much. Now looking at this, how would, designating a drug cartel as targets for U.S. land strikes alter the typical or conceptual boundary between criminal organizations and terrorist groups? And now what risk of escalation will this hold if, Trump goes ahead with land strikes?
Yeah, a great question, Asuma, and that's a difficult, this is a really weird place to be in right now when we're talking about this. As Matthew was saying before when he was talking about Venezuela, is that the institutions around Maduro are still there, so the military, but he's got multiple layers of institutions. Some are in those narco terrorist groups. They are economic producers, and they're also muscle or thugs for Maduro. You also have to remember that the relationship between Hezbollah and the Venezuelan cartels is extremely tight. So if we start hitting, and maybe this is the goal, if we start hitting cartels that are operating, let's say, not inside cities, but start using airstrikes to take out cartels that are operating in rather rural areas. If we start hitting those, are we going to start hitting Hezbollah members and other individuals as well? Not that Trump would have a problem with this. And also, is this an attempt to kind of shed one of those security blankets around those institutions that protected Maduro? It's interesting where this is going with the talks about mainland strikes. I hope there is a real plan here at this point. I was feeling pretty confident when I was talking to you yesterday, Asuma, and this evening when I hear about land strikes hitting cartels, I start to get a little bit nervous. I will say this: it's a lot. When he came into office and he specifically mentioned the Mexican cartels, that becomes a lot more dangerous for the United States because that's right on our border, and the Mexican cartel probably could overpower the Mexican armies if they bandied together. If you look at the cartel, so it's a bit of an apples to oranges comparison there, but it still gives me cause for concern. Is this going to turn into what we would call mission creep, where we really don't have a plan, but we're just kind of creeping along and getting more and more and more involved than we should be, than we need to be?
Do you think that, American people will kind of maybe demonstrate against this? How is the reaction like in US?
Yeah, well, the reaction in the United States, I think it's ultimately gonna be split, and I think, well, you will have I would say almost every single Democrat except for maybe John Fetterman come out against this, if we're just talking about politicians. If you talk about Republicans, the individuals that are isolationists that think that a Gulf or an ocean protects us, they're against this. They put their hat on the America first. But they don't understand that, as I mentioned, I think it was last night, that Venezuela did represent a clear and present danger to American safety. So I think it's going to be split kind of down the middle, but as we've seen with any type of conflict, the longer it goes on,
Yes.
the quicker you lose public opinion.
Right, that's true. Thank you for highlighting that. And lastly, Mr. Calmel, how could this framing cartels as entities running a state affect international norms on sovereignty and also the future use of counterterrorism justifications?
Yeah, oh, another great question, Asuma.
Thank you.
And this is the one where I look at kind of the duplicity of our foreign policy, and I'll highlight the Taliban in Afghanistan, who were sending billions of dollars to help prop up that country because they're unable to manage it and govern it, and then they siphon off the money, and they're narco terrorists. If you look at them, and groups such as Al Qaeda and those groups make money in the heroin trade. Well, it's no different here in Venezuela, except for we've decided, it's in our hemisphere. Afghanistan, that was a 20-year war. We want to put that in the rearview mirror, pretend it didn't exist, or try and forget about the best we possibly can, and kind of move on to this and saying, this is our hemisphere, this is what we need to focus on. In reality, I think we should be, I think our approach with Afghanistan should have been much different. I don't think, but that's a discussion for a different day.
Yeah, indeed. But thank you very much, Mr. Calmel, once again for joining us and sharing that insight with us on NewsX World. Now we move on to